Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to find the sources that you're going to need to do the comparative rhetorical analysis project paper thing. So by this point you will have access to the annotated bibliography description. So I just want to point out a couple things. I'm not going to read this to you, but we need two sources for the project. One is going to be a scholarly source, so I'm not going to spend a terrible lot of time talking to you about that because by this point we've done the literature review and causal analysis papers, so we kind of know how the that stuff works. So click on My CCCC, then go to the library resources page. Then usually you're going to go straight to NC Live. Really, you want to go straight to NC Live, and then do your search there for whatever it may be you're searching for. You click on scholarly articles, and then see more, and then that will get you your full list. Once you're there, for other papers we've done things like a cyclical literature review. We've done subject limiters and things like under discipline or subject terms. But for something to be scholarly, full text online, check that off. Scholarly and peer reviewed, check that off. Journal article, check that off. Book reviews are not scholarly sources. Magazine articles, newspapers are not. Mainly you're going to want things like book chapters, not reviews, chapters, conference proceedings, journal articles. That's going to be your main scholarly type sources. For this project, we really don't need a time limiter because the way we're using this source is not to support an argument that we're making. We're making an argument about whatever source here we end up finding. So to that end, the time limiters don't really matter so much. You just kind of want to find one you like and think is interesting. I would suggest starting with the scholarly source because it may be maybe a better approach to think of a topic you like, search for it here, find your source here, and then take that to the other places, the other popular sources to find the one after that. So anyway, so there's the scholarly source, and so just remember, check off full text, scholarly and peer-reviewed journal article, and that'll cover just about everything you need for this project, for at least the scholarly part of it. So beyond that, we also need a popular text, and so there are a bunch of different ways that we can go about finding this. I'm going to show you a couple of them. One of them actually is kind of directly related to the databases. Again, and so this will give us back to My CCCC library resources. But instead of clicking on NC Live here, we actually want to go to databases A to Z. And that's going to give us this full alphabetical list, 169 databases, at least as of the time I'm recording this. We're constantly adding and updating and so on. So that number will probably be different by the time you end up looking at this video. Because I only update these every couple of years. But so there's a couple in particular I want you to look at that work really well as a scholar, or as a popular source, and those are the kind of anything in context databases. So I'm going to point out a couple of them, like Opposing Viewpoints, for example. If you've not used that one before, that's a really good place to go to find a good non-scholarly, non-peer-reviewed, popular type source. If you go to Browse Issues, you can find your topics here, and you notice there's like 3 categories, and there's more than 300. Like last time I counted a couple of years ago, and it was over 300 something. So there's even more at this point. So if you click on, and you can notice like some of these are like updated with like newest information, so on. So if you click on any one of these, you'll get to a category page, and you'll see a bunch of different things: featured viewpoints and academic journals viewpoints. One of the main things that you want to look under are the viewpoints. This right here is the same thing as this one. This list here of like the featured viewpoints are really nothing more than what would you call it? Sort of the most viewed articles out of this, so you can look at viewpoints to get that. You want to avoid the scholarly, the academic journals one, because that would kind of count as your scholarly source. But if you click on any one of these, you can get the full article, read it there. These kinds of articles are going to be more like things that are published online or things that are published on websites, news articles, op-ed, kind of so on. And so you can get the article here, read it here, so this is going to count a lot more like your popular sources. You can download the PDF version of that as well if you want to like save it or print it or email it to yourself or anything like that. So that would count as a popular source. Another alternative are any of the in context sources. So you have things like American history in context. Where does it go? It's U.S. history. I'm sorry. U.S. history in context there. And then this will give you access to a bunch of different interesting kind of sources. You have things like just anything related to American history. You can find that under different categories. Again, academic journals, primary sources. Primary sources are really, really interesting because primary sources are original sources from that time. So things like historical letters, like letters that are written by people, in the time that that category is talking about. Things like, there was one I read in here a while back, but it was a letter from a recruiter for like a professional baseball. This was written in like the 1920s, but it was this personal letter talking about this one particular player and some of like what their so strengths and weaknesses are and so on. So you can find, let's see if I can actually find that one. And that'll be under primary source. It's like, yeah, it's like there you get something like that. I'm sorry, 54 was 50s, not 20s. But you can actually find like real stuff. This was written by someone who is like a sports recruiter. So you can tell a lot about a time period by looking at their historical documents. And really that's kind of how we know a lot about history, is looking at originally published materials. So you can look at that. There's also a world history in context as well that works in the same way. What was the other? Social issues and science in context works. Let's see. Student resources in context, and there are a couple others. Global issues in context, I think. Yeah, so this one works basically the same way as all the other ones we've looked at. So these all work well as popular sources. And so outside of that, you don't have to get stuff from the databases. Things like, say, for example, the electrictypewriter.org. What this website is nothing more than a website that links to other articles on other websites. And so if you kind of read through here, you can see like this, 10 great essays, 12 great articles, 150 great articles and essays, and so on. And so then you can look at, for example, stuff under here, essays about life, death, love, happiness, so on. And so if you kind of click on any one of these, and actually here's sort of one of the ones that we will use in like one of our practices. I did an edited version of that, but that's available there. And so the idea is that you can look at somewhere like here for sort of like call it more serious versions of the writing, but that's not to say that the popular source you use has to be quote unquote serious. We can also look at things like crack.com if you've never seen that as a comedy website, and even though it tells you that this is like dangerous or whatever, it's not. It's fine. Hold on. It keeps doing that. So you can proceed to website. This is the largest comedy website on the internet. It's not in any way dangerous, but you have these sort of like listicle kind of things about just fun articles, and it's all comedy kind of not serious sort of stuff. Things like The Onion, if you've not heard of that, it is a sort of comedy news website. Like none of this is like what none of what the Onion publishes is real, and it's all satire, parody, that kind of stuff. So you can kind of look at just different articles, and they sort of have their approach is to sort of take like current event topics and write sort of satirical type articles about what they are, what's happening in the world, and so on. So you can use like things like these. So sometimes they'll just have like a headline and a picture, but nothing else. So you can use that as well. So the idea, well, let's see, what else is there? McSweeney's sort of similar kind of thing to the Onion. Then just different articles, sort of, again, comedy, satire, so on. So these all work pretty well. And also, and again, this is not to say that you have to use like one of these right here. Anything you want to search for online, you can actually find it. And so on. So let's see, what else? News might be a good place to look, like under like a Google sort of article, like Blaze Pizza is giving out free pizza, and so on. So you get the idea. It all kind of adds up. The idea, the main thing here is that you just find a popular text, like, and again, this popular text does not have to meet CRAP requirements at all. Just because, like, the only thing CRAP requirements do is just make sure that the source is a scholarly source. This does have to meet them, but only to the extent that it needs to meet them so that it can be a scholarly source. So anyway, that's really about all you have to do to find the sources. I would, again, personally start with things like the scholarly source. Pick your topic, find the scholarly source first, and then go to these other places around here to find your popular source, and that'll cover that. So otherwise, that's about it. So just jump into that, start searching, see what you can find, and if you have any questions, let me know. And again, just remember, you do need to find two sources, one scholarly, one popular. Best of luck with that, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you around. Bye.